Thank you for stopping by. Today on the Bluegrass podcast, we're going to be smoking and reviewing Sunboldt Farms' Loopy Fruit Flower. Before we do, though, right now you can go to Gov Medical Cannabis Advisory Team at kentucky.gov, link in the description, to make your voice heard on cannabis legalization in Kentucky right now. Governor Andy Beshear has opened up the process to potential action since the Kentucky legislation has again blocked common sense cannabis reform. This email will let you send in your comments to the governor's office. We've already sent our email in, and you can too. We even have a template on bluegrasscannabis.com where you can copy and paste a request for the top 3 things we're looking for in cannabis legislation. Let people out of jail for nonviolent cannabis offenses. Allow any individual to grow cannabis at home for their personal use. And create open craft cannabis licensing up to an acre that allows small farms to grow, process, and sell the best cannabis to their local communities. This both allows small farms to get the profit from their hard work, and it keeps quality high by letting people focus on small patches of high quality goods and sell the best quality cannabis to their local communities. Make your voice heard now, and please let your representative know too. This email will make your voice heard to the governor's office, but you need to call both your local representative and your local senator and make them aware as well. The main obstacle is still local officials, so call yours and let them know we need craft cannabis today. And now, on with the show.
She said, now I'm a red headed galactic installation portal revolving around the sun. I know I'm hearing that it means love everyone.
Farming practices. This bud was dry farmed in the Eel River Valley by Sunshine Sarasota at Sunboldt Grown. Vacuum sealed mason jars, biodegradable lids, and a beautiful hand-done logo on the front. And after we pop the top, we've got a lovely wax bag and humidity pack in there to keep the flower in perfect form from the cure to the smoke. Appearance and texture. Now that we're out of the bag, let's take a look. Bud looks good, medium to large in size for the jar. Trim isn't too deep, so we've got great bud integrity. Still a couple of sugar leaves here and there we could pick away if we wanted to. Short brown pistils, light to medium olive flower buds. Smells like a great drying and harvest time. When you handle it, it's waxy at first. The more you handle though, the resin is definitely getting stickier and stickier. We're going to break out our loop now and take a closer look at the situation. A beautiful mixture of cloudy and amber trichomes, mostly intact and densely covered buds, loose bud structure relative due to the sun growth and fully matured. Breaking them apart, we also have some very sticky fingers. Definitely something to keep in mind as you break it up. You're going to need to clean your hands or get a grinder before rolling it, or your paper is going to tear in half. Looks like a farmer's trim too, ripe off the vine. We might pull off a couple extra leaves before we grind it up, but even still, I prefer getting it this way. Your bud's going to be in better condition coming straight from the farm, and those extra leaves are also going to protect the integrity of the trichomes on your bud. Not so much extra processing between you and the product. Also keeps the trichomes intact so you don't end up with them just running along the inside of the jar too. Overall, not a really distinctive bud visually, but as soon as you're holding it in your hands, that smell is hitting you in the nose. Aroma of the flower. Sniffing straight out of the jar, we're getting fruit, light jet fuel nose, and very aromatic, almost like poppy seeds. That ethereal sort of jam they're talking about mixing with the fruit. And now that we're going to get a couple in our hands and break them up, let's see if that changes how we feel. So breaking this up, we've got hints of fuel, definitely a little bit of a citrus edge, providing a sharp forward nose, followed by a sweeter, deeper fuel. Really, as you break this up, it almost feels like that fuel is rising up underneath these fruity, citrusy notes on top. I'm going to give it edge of an orange rind and definitely a sharp fuel because of that citrus. And the sweetness is like blackberry jam, a little bit aromatic like we were talking about, those poppy seed smell. The blackberry jam smell is almost like a poppy seed cake thumbprint. Really specific, but buttery, a little bit seedy and aromatic from the poppy, almost sweet. And that blackberry jam smell. When we broke it up, I think that the fuel and the citrus kind of disappeared after a couple of whiffs, but we'll see as we give it a smoke. Blackberry jam is like a poppy seed cake thumbprint, or shortbread maybe. Not doughy or cakey sweet, but definitely a lighter, more aromatic sweetness. Fuel notes as well definitely keep it from becoming a flat, just sort of monotone, sucrose, sugary sweet. Citrus and fuel notes definitely popping in there. And with the fruity blackberry nose in there, the jet fuel creates a great balance between the citrus and just provides a nice cut, like we were talking about, that sweetness. It's like tartness, right? It balances it. Doesn't let it become that singular flavor. There's depth to it. Yeah, instead of a candy-like sickly sweet, we get citrus, we have blackberry, black currant, jet fuel, an entire symphony's going on here. Definitely more full in terms of aroma, with the flavors really supporting each other, instead of highlighting each individually. So instead of it being sweet and fuel, we're getting all these different waves of flavor that are building on each other and supporting each other. And now let's roll it up. For this review, we're using Elements rolling papers, some raw hemp wick for our flame, and about 0.6 grams of flour in our joint. Now that we've lit up, flavors that are coming out are definitely blackberry jam, slight gasoline spice, and that poppy seed cake note again, almost like that shortbread. Intake is much sweeter for Loopy Fruit, in my opinion, than the exhale. Intake has fruit, citrus, and that sweetness forward that matches up with the aroma. The flavor is definitely less intense on the fuel. The most fuel I felt like was in that, not that first whiff, but that broken up bud. But in here, in the smoke, definitely a compliment to the fruit and citrus way more than it is the star of the show. And honestly, I'm glad that it is. There's also a nice, slightly buttery texture to the smoke that complements this light poppy seed, shortbread, cakey flavor on the exhale. And when I say cakey, again, I don't mean like sweet. Think more shortbread. Maybe light honeyed poppy seed cake. These like light aromatic sweetness. Coats the mouth and the tongue as well, that buttery that we were talking about again. But not enough to become chewy or overwhelming. The flavor's building. Each time you take a hit, coating the inside of the mouth again. You also get a little bit more of that fuel pop through on the exhale, and way less of the fruit and citrus that was available on the inhale. Exhale, right at the tail end especially, I'm getting a lot of that, like, the fuel is almost like emerging after everything else is gone. Now, I'd recommend maybe taking a whiff of coffee bean halfway through, or taking a drink of water and get a few clearing breaths in, get a fresh hit, although you're not going to want to. Very smooth as well. Smoke is definitely not causing any coughing. Getting a little bit of a dry mouth and eyes, so like always keep a glass of water handy, but I don't find the experience itself as harsh at all, definitely not on my throat. As someone who's smoked this a lot, I can also say you can smoke this, and the enjoyability of the flavor and experience is just going to keep going. And now, how are we feeling after we've gotten through this lovely Loopy Fruit? Physically, it's nice and relaxing with a light body buzz. What I mean by that is I can feel my nerve endings, almost like you can feel them tingle at the edges. Very nice. Not a wake and bake, but from 3 p.m. to bedtime, excellent choice. This would be perfect for an evening party, outdoor barbecue, maybe some chores around the house in the afternoon, laundry, dishes, things like that. Going to the supermarket, outdoor chores. Maybe not so much for a lot of people. If you're an experienced user, you might be just fine. Mental experience is social, creative, and relaxed. While, again, probably not a good wake and bake except for a lazy Sunday, This strain is great for movie night, social evening with friends, just enjoying a joint by yourself after work. At least personally, for me, it's a good mood improver, and honestly, it keeps it that way. After effect? Balanced and relaxed while not sedative or sleepy, really. Loopy Fruit is definitely relaxing and good for lowered inhibitions as well, but I'm really not sleepy. Unless it was late in the evening, I would keep this at relaxing. Like any good experience, it also keeps things even. While you may already be feeling it after the first and second hits and you start working into it, the experience is not uncomfortably strong. Now, that's a personal opinion. You can always smoke too much. Check yourself. But at least for me, this is a comfortably strong experience. Now, when I say comfortably strong experience, I mean it increases up to a point, comes on stronger and stronger and stronger, but it does have a ceiling, and you will hit it, especially if you're more experienced. But that ceiling is not something that experience is going to keep increasing up to a point, but coming on stronger as you go through it. Definitely has a stopping point, though, and a ceiling. On a scale of 1 to 10, we're going to give it like a 7.7, 7.8 out of 10. So definitely strong enough to get the job done, but not strong enough that you can't enjoy smoking it. As you come out of the experience, too, Loopy Fruit leaves you with a generally relaxed mental and physical state and gradually ends. It's not a hard drop, it's not a swift end, but it fades you back in really nicely in something that I enjoy in my cannabis. Instead of a hard drop or an end, it definitely fades back into your normal state. If not, like I said, slightly relaxed in mental and physical, but still present and doesn't have that hard drop where you can almost get a bad after effect because you left the high so fast. X Factor. This is a strain that has staying power. What I mean is that the experience is good, but it is consistently good as well. Every time I hit Loopy Fruit, I'm really glad I did. Do I want it for every meal? No. Am I really happy to smoke this anytime I'm able? Absolutely. The reliability of the flavor and the aroma push this cultivar definitely higher on my list, as well as just being a knockout flavor and aroma too. A lot of the times I feel like cultivars are very one note right now. It's cherry, it's lemon, it's whatever it happens to be. And that can be nice, and sometimes there are even a couple of flavors that are both there, but to find actually complementary flavors that make each other better and make it a cohesive flavor and aroma, much harder and much more enjoyable. And that, I think, is really one of the things about Loopy Fruit that you can taste, is that there's thought put into it. You're smoking something that has intention in its design, and it definitely shows. Loopy Fruit is the flower that you wish you could still get. I would recommend this to anyone, but especially to older smokers looking for flower. 100%, I think this might be what you're looking for. And in the words of the cultivator, Loopy Fruit is an heirloom strain created by crossing Blackberry Kush and Williams Wonder. Blackberry Kush is a primarily indica and is a mix of Afghani and blackberry strains. It has a strong jet fuel scent and flavor, tapered by delicious sweet berries. Willie's Wonder, or Williams Wonder to the more formal, is indica dominant with Afghani genetics. Willie's strain's aroma is an equally diverse mix of tropical fruit and citrus that also comes through in its sweet and sour taste. Together, they create the smells of warm blackberry pie and the taste of acacia flowers. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Bluegrass Podcast. If you'd like to try Loopy Fruit out yourself, visit www.sunboldt.com, link in the description, to find a dispensary near you where you can pick up a jar. If you'd like to get in contact with us, our website is bluegrasscannabis.com, our Twitter is @bluegrasscanna, our Instagram is @bluegrass_cannabis, our TikTok is @bluegrasscannabis. Thank you for listening to the Bluegrass Podcast. The Bluegrass Podcast. Old-fashioned, all-natural, Kentucky bluegrass.